So I had a pretty decent rank game the other day that I kind of want to go over in Capture Age with everyone. Basically, Britons versus Byzantines. I'm pretty confident in my cavalry, so I know the matchup pretty well. I've been forwarded by archers in the past, especially from Britons, and I'd say I'm probably about 50-50 with it. I'm getting better than I used to be. Early game's pretty clean. I have less idle TC. He has less idle eco. I think that changes though. Can't remember what I idled on. And then I pulled my second board too fast after the first one. Other than that, pretty happy. There's not much else right here. He goes for an early drush and then following it up with archers. Pretty standard for Britons. My idle TC time's a little bit high. I should probably pay more attention to that, but as far as Vil count goes, a little better off because he went to feudal pretty early. Then he brought his forward in, which probably would have been more effective if he grouped it up, and less effective if I just saved my wood line right away. I was too busy with the gold workers, which I don't think mattered nearly as much, but I could have put that gate up like the second he came in over here. Would have saved me a little bit of time. Yep, still 3 Vils ahead. Relatively comfortable with my position. Looks like he housed himself. That helped me out a little bit. Now he's starting to get the archers out. Up to 4 Vils ahead. And looks like, yeah, his TC idled a bunch because of him housing himself. Which I've gotten good. I don't really do that much. And I used to overbuild houses a lot, but I'm much better at it now. So he's starting to bring his archers out. If I were a little bit smarter, I would probably go skirms when I see Briton opponents. It's just easier to deal with it that way. But I don't mind my base this game. I think that turned out pretty well. And my response to his archers was pretty good. I managed to bog his scout down here too. He can't get away from the TC. Works out well. Don't lose any Vils. And I still have a semi-safe wood line. And a Vil lead. I deleted those walls early because I kind of had a feeling that this was his next pressure point. But I had more than enough gold banked up for castle, so I don't even need to be there anymore, technically. He was pretty good with his pressure, too. Like, targeting the wood lines and the gold. It's very well done. I think his biggest mistake probably wasn't checking to make sure that I pulled all of them. Because I had enough wood banked up from having them over there. It allows me to just convert these into farms, essentially. Probably could have pulled them off a little bit more to each individual farm. Yeah, he invested quite a bit to cover those wood lines. But because he wasn't in mass, I was able to cavalry counter, which I don't mind because I want to go into knights anyways, so I need to get the upgrades for them as it stands. This is where he buys his way into castle. Now I just have to go find this force, which I end up not being able to do. It's smart of him to hide in the corner up there. And he's pulled back on my eco lead. I'm getting some scouting done. Even though I have a pretty good idea that he's 2 range, mostly wood, some gold. And I thought he would be over here with his army, waiting to threaten my gold, but he's not. So I just focus back on my economy. I don't know if it's necessarily right for me to use my excess gold to buy food or to just wait in this situation, but I chose to wait and it seemed to pay out alright. Maybe earlier night production is better. I have so many farms out, I'm not terribly concerned. I also know that the second I hit Castle Age, I want to go double TC. Just because I'm kind of expecting him to stay in archers, so if I can get a little bit of a boom going, I can get my eco even more ahead. Which I didn't realize at the time I was up Vils. You can kind of look at score and the fact that he has military and assume that you're up a little bit. Yeah, this is where he actually comes and finds me. Which I think's a little bit soon. He should have waited for his crossbow upgrade. Just stayed in the corner. I mean, he still wins this, but at what cost? Then I definitely shouldn't have lost these two miners here. Because I know I just lost that battle, so I should pull them off, but... He's just booming and military. I just have to make sure that he doesn't kill shit here, and then I'll be fine. It's not ideal, but knights beat crossbowmen, so I just have to get to them. Definitely idling my eco too much. Should have sent these vills back out to work already by now. So this is the double TC that I was talking about. To secure my extra resources. Force him to at least have to go into siege. Again, he has separate forces, which he shouldn't. He should probably have them grouped. He could deny this TC if he does. But instead, I'm able to just barely get it up. Which, with his position, locks him in there. Because he can't come out. Which works well for me, because it's 5 crossbowmen I don't have to worry about. During all this, I walled the right. Even though I have a TC there, I just need to get some control over my economy, at least in my minds. During all this pressure, he's outpaced me in economy. He second TC'd when he first went up to castle, which is pretty smart. And then he third TC'd, but only with 1 vill, so I kind of make some ground up on him here. He comes out with siege like he should. Personally, I prefer rams to mangonels, but to each their own. I think the mangonels don't work out very well for him in this game. Yeah, I know he's got military on the board, and I still have score lead, so I'm pretty confident that my economy is stronger. Bringing knights out of 1 barracks for the time being, that way I can keep my boom out of all 3 TCs. It's right about here. When he started bringing up siege, that's when I got a little bit worried. So I sent these forward. Just, even if I don't kill anything in his economy, just them showing up and running around will at least disturb him enough. So maybe tip it a little bit. Because they're not going to get anything done against this force. Can't remember why I switched to Cav. I know I tried to cheese one of his mangoes. But yeah, those run through. Get a bunch of idle time. I probably could have done a little bit better with them, I think. But I was a little occupied with this. And this is where I start ramping up knight production. Get 2 more stables out. He isn't building spearmen, which I think I've kind of telegraphed what I'm doing, so kind of a bad move on his part. But he also feels like he's getting good pressure, and so it's not all bad. And he knows he has a decent boom going on himself. Yeah, I'm just gonna repair my way through this. I'm not too worried about wood. I have plenty of it. I'm working up towards a castle right now, which clearly I can't put on the front lines. But I'm getting my knight numbers up. So this is actually kind of a bait castle. I was hoping he couldn't see it, but even if he could, I wanted him to respond and move over there so I could bring my knights in. My ambush didn't quite work. Left him with a little bit of HP still. But yeah, here he comes over to deny the castle. I'm paying attention. I'm not worried about losing it. I'm just worried about getting my knights in here. Because now they have their upgrades. I have decent numbers. Focus siege first, and then on to the archers. So from here I'm pretty comfortable. I know Brits are just a pain in the ass to push, so I'm definitely planning to get this castle down and then put another castle up here already and just kind of keep pumping out knight numbers and my economy. I try to go forward on him, but he actually keeps a pretty clean base, which surprises me, but I still haven't scouted this. I don't even know that he forward sieged me until way later in the game. But I know he's got a long wall here and he's weak. Maybe if I mass more knight numbers, I have a better chance of breaking in here, which I'm kind of doing. I'm just not sending him to his base like I probably should be. From here, it's just trying to probe the walls, get through. Clearly, he somewhat knows what he's doing because he's just housing me off perfectly. And then the second he sends these crossbows over, I know it's pointless for me to even be here. So I just back out. As long as I keep knight numbers on the field, I have map control, so I'm not too worried. And I know at the very least, I have a large economy lead. Or at least I think I do, based off score here. I think mostly my economy lead is because of his idle time. But yeah, I'm very comfortable booming. Very comfortable with this amount of knights on the field. I know he hasn't really gone into spears yet. The second he lost his archer ball, he should have. I think he's just playing defensive at this point, which gives me the freedom to just boom out. It's pretty standard from here. I think the castle I was talking about earlier to protect this gold. Like I said, no, I have map control, so I want to kind of use it to get some defensive stuff up. And he's castling over here. I think that's more of a panic castle because he knows he's not in control anymore. I don't know how I feel about that. It doesn't protect all that much, to be honest. It protects his gold and this stone, but the rest of his economy over here is just free. And he had a gap here that I could have been exploiting with my knights if I was being a little bit more active with scouting. But I'm still just focusing on my boom here. And I mean, it kind of shows. I have a 7-ville lead right now. I'm really starting to power up here. He clicks up to imp. I'm still trying to get my food economy because I don't like to balance with gold. And maybe I should use my market more in situations like this. I think I eventually do. But him beating me to imp doesn't actually pay off that much. There we go. I sold a bunch of stone and bought my way up. And once I bought my way up, I'm kind of just going to dump all my economy into knights. I know even footing knights and pikes, knights win, especially once they get upgrades. So I'm still kind of worried about that. But with the force that I have here, not really that much. And the castle here kind of denies his movement into my eco, unless he goes around. So maybe this first castle is a little too rushed, but I think it did what I needed it to. And this is where I just expand knight production. Probably would have been smart to get barracks out too, in case he got too many spearmen. I could probably be pressuring with this knight force. Or at the very least, trying to find his archer force that I know is out on the map. Because he catches me off guard here. We're staying even in vills throughout all this. He just has a lot more idle economy overall. I think that's the big difference. But yeah, here I'm totally sleeping. Ended up getting 8 vills there. But I respond on the wood line. Bring my knights back. I mostly respond. I should have deleted walls here and cut them off on their way to my golds. I was just a little panicked because I had this coming in. And I also probably overdid my response, which I realize here I actually pull some of them because I know I have to deal with the siege that's hitting me, the trebuchets. And clear this up. My cav upgrade comes in, so I'm feeling pretty good. Although I do wait to rush here, because again, I'm assuming he has a lot more pikes than what he actually has. I could have easily taken him with this force, but I wanted to wait to get this back. And I knew the castle wasn't going down in the meantime. Looks like I did it anyways, though. Still, even fight. Cav win every time. I should have moved into the gap to block them. And then from here, I think I do a little bit too much to conserve my knights. Like, there's no reason I shouldn't just run in that gap and just wreak havoc on his economy. I put, like, this whole late game wrong. Like, he's totally open here, and I'm just hitting his front wall. Eventually, I do get in, and the result's the same, but the play could have been slightly better. I could have just rushed it right through, done the damage, dealt the killing blow right here. Instead, it's delayed. Takes an extra, like, 2-3 minutes. And then I break through, when I probably could have just walked through underneath his castle. And at this point, his economy's stalled. Any villas he has out, I'm running down. I've killed the first wood line and the second one, so I know it doesn't have that. I got Trebs coming out for his castle, and this is when he calls it. So overall, I'm not too upset with how I played it. There are definitely a bunch of like little things, and I could have ended a lot quicker, but overall, pretty happy. Just a little bit of slop to clean up.